And I think we're live. Yep,
We are.
looks like we
Yep.
are. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome back to Pixel Sprites and Nonsense. This is season 2, episode. What is it?
29.
29 by now.
Yes.
We're close to that 30. Let's see if we'll eventually make it to 100. So, with me here today, as always, is Vash
Heyo.
and Matsman.
Hello.
So we've been away for a bit. We talked about the podcast 2 weeks ago, and we decided to make some changes. We're gonna cut the news unless it's very important, and we all have actually something important to say about it. So we're not gonna do a weekly news thing anymore. We're just gonna have our opinion pieces. So today we're
Yeah.
gonna talk about games that broadened our horizons. So these are mostly games that are part of a genre that we didn't play before or we were
Or
really
started
interested in.
this. Yeah.
And then there's that one game that kind of sparked the interest. So that's what we're going to talk about later. First, we're going to roll the intro, and after that, we're going to talk about a little bit about what we played in the last 2 weeks, and then we're going to get into the main topic.
Yep.
Now I lost my intro button. There we go. We'll be right back. And we're back. Okay, so we're back. Let's get into it. So, what have we been up to? Let's start with Vash this time. So, what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks?
I played a couple of games, but I did finish Spider-Man 2. Pretty fast.
The big game.
The big game.
Release.
Yeah, even platinumed it
One of them.
for a change. I don't usually platinum all my games, so there's only a few exceptions. I really enjoyed it. It's not perfect, but it's a really good game for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
story-wise, I enjoyed a lot of stuff. It's a very different setup from what I'm used to from the comics.
Yeah,
But
it's its own universe, and I think that's a good thing because it
yeah.
gives them more creative liberties.
Oh yeah,
So I think that's a
Yeah.
good thing.
yeah. I mean, there's some elements that are the same, so that's good. But yeah, I enjoyed everything so far, and I'm really looking forward to what's coming next.
Yeah. So
Franchise.
Yeah. Go ahead.
no, ask away. I have a lot to say.
So I'm curious, right? So going from Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, does this feel like it added a lot of new stuff to it, or
No.
is it more an extension
No.
of the previous experience?
That's one of my pet peeves. It doesn't feel like it adds anything. Like story-wise, it does. Like it's a continuation of the story,
course.
but it feels like it's a giant add-in. It's like they just mashed those first two games kind of together. Also, I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but or at least disagree with me if you think I'm wrong. But I also feel that both Spider-Man, first of all, they're both called Spider-Man, and that's just canon, but it's stupidly confusing. Like, you have two characters who are the exact same. I need to ban someone.
Yeah. Just looking at the chat and I was like, oh,
Yep.
there's one of these guys.
Anyway, let's get back to my story. But I do feel that they're both the same. They kind of have the same skill tree. They kind of have the same skills. The animation's different, and there's like a slight variance, but they basically both do the same thing. So it kind of feels, except for the animation wise and obviously looks and voice actor, it feels like you're playing the same character twice and you're leveling the same character twice.
Right.
So it just feels like padding to me. Like I'm still enjoying the story, and I get that there are two Spider-Man, but from a gameplay perspective, they didn't differentiate enough for me, and it just feels like I'm playing the same character with just a slight cosmetic change. It's like putting on a different skin.
Yeah.
Eh, sort of. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Um, I think Miles moves a bit faster. It's a very slight difference.
Yeah, I think it's tweaked more like
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Just a tweaked
they're
version of the same kind of setup.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they do have different move sets. They do use the same gadgets,
Yeah,
so that's not really. I mean, that's understandable because they
it's the
work from the
basis
same.
for them,
Yeah,
right?
and Miles is his protege.
Yeah,
So is Peter's protege, and you can really tell that um, aside from his venom powers, um, he is not. That's what differentiates him from uh, Parker.
Yeah,
yeah.
but even with the Venom powers, that's feels like a cosmetic change to me because,
Hmm.
for example, you have that Venom power that tentacles shoot out of Peter, and he grabs onto four enemies, and at some point you can actually level it up that it will hit an infinite amount of enemies, just everything in a cone in front of you, basically.
Which looks pretty
Uh,
cool.
yeah, but it's the okay. There's this still make noise for me. But I'm gonna change to the whip screen so we can actually see the attack because it's in here. It's right here, right in front of this. So yeah, it's okay. It's literally the next one he's fighting. But so yeah, this is the move that I was talking
Yeah.
about. But it's the exact same damage wise. The only difference is that it adds a stun for Miles when he
Hmm.
does his kind of Hadoken electric attack. It also hits
Well.
multiple enemies. It jumps from one
Hmm.
from one enemy to another. It actually
Hmm.
stops at 4 unless you upgrade it again,
Hmm.
and it just adds a stun
Yeah.
if they didn't
Well,
get hurt.
that's
It feels
the
like the same
difference.
thing.
It does kind of feel like the same thing, but it has a different consequence because with the electricity power, found out that they tend to fly back. The enemies tend to fly away from you. With the venom power, he smashes them to the ground, and from that, they're tied to that location unless they get up, of course. So there is a slight difference
Yeah, but
for Miles.
it's minute. It's
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 it's it's
minimal.
it's a small change. Yeah, like they're basically the same. So unless they're gonna add new characters that fight different, I don't expect you know the future games to be that radically different when it comes to gameplay between Spider-Man and maybe they're gonna add Spider-Woman. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe they're gonna add.
another thing, and that's actually something the developer said that happened accidentally, is you see a stealth section here. Yeah, the game
Hmm.
doesn't really have those, and even the stealth sessions that are there, you can just run in, and you can attack.
Just
Oh,
fight
you
everything.
can, you can.
Yeah,
Right.
It's optional. Yeah.
it's
So it's yeah.
100% optional. And in
Yeah.
Batman, you also had these stealth sections, and if
Hmm.
you actually got caught there, they would just shoot you and you would die. And
Yeah.
in this game, you can just basically dodge everything. So it doesn't really matter as
Hmm.
long as you press the circle button on time,
Yeah.
nothing's gonna hit you and it's gonna be
So
fine.
yeah, it's pretty forgiving in that regard.
But
More forgiving
is
than a
yeah
Batman game.
is
But
that
yeah,
maybe a player choice thing? Like
it is.
for people who want to try different playstyle. I don't know. Do
Hmm.
you get rewarded for doing like sections completely stealthy in this
No,
case,
Not really.
or is it just like okay, it doesn't matter how
it
you
actually
complete it?
punishes you because you get more experience if you have a high, if you use your gadgets,
Combos and
and
stuff.
if you have a high combo, you
Yeah.
get more
True.
experience than when you do when
True.
you just stealthily pick them up. So the game
Yeah.
actually kind of discourages you from going the stealth route, and
Hmm.
they actually said it was an oversight because it came up in an interview, and the
Okay.
Right.
developer said it was an oversight and they accidentally made stealth kind of useless. It just
Mm.
happened, and did they kind of figured it out that that was the case late in the development cycle, and they were like, okay, we're not going to change
Okay.
it for this one, but we might have to look in that for an eventual third part.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fun
Right.
game. I've been in kind of a bit of a gaming slope since this was the one. So I haven't played anything other than this. I'm 20 hours in, so I'm not done. I actually just
Mm-hmm.
passed this section that you're seeing on the screen right here, which is the one that Sony showed in their showcase. So I just completed this
Yeah.
mission. That's basically all she wrote. I did do a lot of side stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
feels like checkbox gaming. Like you're just trying to, clear up the map.
Mm-hmm.
So we did
Mm.
the one where you have to follow the birds and get the radio
Yeah.
signal, and I did most of them. I did all the
Mm-hmm.
Mysterio stuff, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
finishing up this game, but I probably
Yeah.
have another 10 hours to go. So
Yeah.
hopefully by the end of next week or the week after that, I'll be done.
Yeah. So there are some sections that do feel, like you said, kind of checkboxy. But there's also some side quests that really resonated with me. There's some very good side quest stories that I really enjoyed, and some of them were very well, kind of emotional. And yeah, that there's a good mix of that
Yeah.
next to the main quest. But yeah, I do agree that it's less checkboxy than, say, the other massive open world games that are out there. But it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more on what I'm gonna be talking about as well. Where control, where sometimes you have some side quests that are very fleshed out, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like litter the game with it.
Yeah.
Like they're like actual meaningful content.
Yeah, and in this case as well, there's some fun suits you can get out of those as well. Um, Especially for Miles, there's like one suit that I really love, and yeah, the story is really good in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
so,
yeah,
I can't be definitive on the story yet because I didn't
no,
finish
okay,
it. So
of
Yeah.
course.
I'm enjoying the story. Now, I'm kind of tired of all the Marvel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've had so much Marvel over the last 15 years that I'm kind of
It's
burned on
crazy.
Marvel, and I know that you love this franchise way more than I do. I enjoy it, but
Yeah, I still read all the comics and
yeah,
stuff. So yeah.
I don't read the comics. I hardly watch the shows or movies anymore, and I just care
Mm-hmm.
less.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun with the game. It's a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing this game, but just for some reason it resonates less with me than the other games did, and that's probably
Mm-hmm.
because it's just very much the same thing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make it a bad thing. It doesn't make it a
No.
bad game. It's very safe.
Yeah.
Mm.
I do like the mechanic they added with the being able to string spider webs above the field so you can take
You
them out
could
stealthily.
but
That's pretty fun.
you could already do that in Miles Morales.
Yeah, that's true.
You could already do that. The big thing
Yeah.
they added is the wingsuit, and that actually makes traversal a lot easier, but also
Yeah.
way more boring.
Oh, okay. I didn't find it boring, but yeah, okay.
It's just
It
like
makes it
adds
more like
like
a Batman game.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It makes it way more like a Batman
Yeah.
game. It's
Yeah.
still okay, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're basically just going from circle to circle, so you get those updrafts, and you can keep
Mm-hmm.
flying indefinitely.
Yeah.
Um, so it kind of takes the fun out of swinging.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
that's just me.
yeah. You almost feel like the traveling between mission objectives is just filler a bit. Like, okay, we're going to this point now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything? Are there things happening in between?
Yeah.
Like
So
that you
Oh
stumble
yeah.
upon?
there are crimes happening all the time, and
Okay.
Yeah.
most side stories and side objectives don't show up on the map. You actually have to find them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you are close to them, they will either pop up on the map, or you can do a scan. You can scan the area and they will show up. It's very easy to miss stuff otherwise. So there are spider bots that you can find, and it looks like a multiverse kind of thing where you find different spider bots based on different characters in different universes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you kind of need to find them in the overworld, and you have to find them yourself. There are no you can't see them on the map. So it's not just going to a place. It's literally
Mm-hmm.
seeing something pulse out, and you see like this orb forming, that's pulsing, and then you can grab one there. So you kind of do have to mind your surroundings. So traversal does have its uses.
Yeah, and there are chests which have tech coins and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for your upgrades.
For your
Right.
upgrades.
Currency, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's kind of interesting how they did that, because it will beep your controller, so you don't hear it through your actual speakers, but you just hear it through your controller. And if you get closer to one of those chests, the beep will get more profound. And,
it will get louder.
Yeah, it will get more profound and will get louder.
Yeah.
And
I like those mechanics.
Yeah, and they're
Especially
actually
when,
using your controller for that, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the haptic is really good in this. I really love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of mute on the haptic nowadays. I've seen it in so many PlayStation games. Like PlayStation 5 is kind of new to you still, so you're like, oh, this haptic is cool.
Okay.
But I've played, I've played
got used to it a
PlayStation
bit.
5 since launch. So yeah, I'm kind of used to it. So I don't really feel the haptic. I'm not like, oh, this is really great. So no.
No, I get that. I get that.
Okay, let's move on. I think that's enough for Spider-Man for now. We might revisit Spider-Man in the next podcast after I finished it, and we can delve
Close
in.
it off.
We'll do just one more time and have some definitive thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Metzman. What did you play?
Yeah, what did I play? So I decided with Alan Wake 2 being out, there's I still have some unfinished business in the world of Remedy. So what I did is I finished Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is a little short side game that takes place in the world where Alan Wake ends up at the end of Alan Wake 1. It was fun. It's a little like side mission. There's like nothing really big important happening. And then after I finished that, I also started playing Control because I started Control because I think I got it for free, like with Epic a long time ago. And then I didn't really play it because things you get for free sometimes you don't really are motivated because you didn't really buy it. But I was always interested in Control. It was one of those big backlog games that I wanted to get back to. Just like what I did with Mad Max. So I dove into Control, and yeah, I really liked it. It's a little different from their previous games. Of course, I have not played Alan Wake 2, so I don't know how that's structured. But basically, Control is kind of like a Metroidvania slash even like even like a light Dark Soul mechanic kind of style into it. In terms of how you play the game and how the game saves and how enemies spawn and stuff. It's like you just have this big complex environment that it takes place in like this paranormal building basically, and you have an objective to find your brother. He's on the screen right there. That's basically your objective, and that's where the mystery starts. Because why are you there? Who are you? The whole conspiracy of what is going on. Like the world building is very interesting because basically, paranormal events and stuff are like, cataloged, um, are like basic world issues that are being monitored, and the building that you're in is like sort of like a bureau of it's called the Bureau of Control, trying to take control back from all these life altering things. So yeah, it's kind of like if you know the SCP kind of stuff, the mysteries. So there's like objects of power, which are objects with like they have like a paranormal power attached to them. Basically, the building you're in is one big object of power, and so it's called a place of power, actually. But yeah, there's all kinds of like crazy stuff happening, and you as a character are like coming in, and you become the director of the bureau, um, and it's like this big mystery of like why are you picked as the director? What happened to the previous director? Where is he now? What happened to all the people who work at the Bureau of Control?
Not
because
much good.
there's not much good. There's like an invading force that that corrupts the people in there and makes them your enemies, which is basically what you'll be fighting most of the time.
Mhm.
And yeah, of course, you gain powers and you have different weapon types that you wield. But yeah, it kind of plays like Alan Wake in a way where it's a lot of like gun combat with paranormal humanoids, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit different in how you traverse the environment. So you come back to locations where you've been previously. There is like security levels that you go up and up and up, so you unlock different sections
Yeah.
of the map, basically.
Mhm.
And yeah, if you die, you go back to one of the control points, the checkpoints, basically what I would call the bonfires of control,
Yeah.
where you can also upgrade your character and craft new materials and even like upgrade your weapons and stuff. So
Okay. I always had a problem with
the
I
Remedy
got
games.
story. Sorry.
I got really far,
Yeah.
but yeah, I enjoyed what I played. I just got
Yeah.
stuck at some point. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I tried a lot of Remedy games and I keep just not finishing them.
okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know why. Just at some point I
You
just
Yeah,
just lose interest.
they might not be for you. I mean, I enjoyed Quantum Break even. So
I tried Quantum Break and I enjoyed the gameplay. I hated watching the
mhm.
show. That's part of the
Okay.
game. So yeah,
Yeah, okay. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's the only one I haven't played yet.
Okay.
Quantum Break.
I
But
finished that one
yeah.
actually.
it's just dumb that you have like 20 to 40-minute episodes in between levels and
Yeah.
Mhm.
That.
it felt very disjointed to me. We lost Metzman, I
Well,
think.
it was an okay try for them.
Yeah. And I
So
know, so I am very curious how Alan Wake 2 plays because I feel that's a little bit more linear experience.
Okay.
Uh, but I
mhm.
also saw a mini map on one of the screenshots, so maybe it does have a little bit more like I think you go back to places once or twice or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, Control is great. I really liked. Of course, I also playing it later in its life with a beefed up computer and playing it with
Oh yeah.
RTX on max graphics.
Mhm.
Everything to max is great. This game is so gorgeous.
Mhm.
It's just the most prominent thing is always the lighting when they do it right.
Yeah.
And of course, everything has reflections. I even got like shocked or like startled by my own reflection sometimes. Um, and it's one of those things where you see like you have all these offices buildings with glass panes everywhere,
mhm.
and it's one of those things where it's so realistic where you look into an office but you see a reflection of everything behind you. uh, so you can't really see what's inside until you break
Yeah.
the glass. It's a really cool effect, and it just makes it feel like a real place as well.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
game is still
um,
being used in benchmarks. Like it's
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a very Remedy thing. They are really good with their tech. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
the same
Their
for the
engine
new Alan
is
Wake.
amazing. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, taken style wise, their games are always very interesting when it comes to, you know, everything they convey.
Yeah, but they're also pushing the envelope when it comes to
Yeah.
visual and
Mhm.
graphical fidelity. So
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've mastered their own engine
Mhm.
really well. So, like indeed for Alan Wake 2, they probably went balls out and balls deep and all out. I've been hearing some very good things about it. So, yeah, that's coming soon in my library.
Yeah,
I only have to.
you're going for an Epic version or are you waiting for
That's the only
Steam?
option right now. So,
On PC, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I have to go for Epic, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not too bothered about that.
Mm.
Um, I would love to have everything on Steam, but I play Control on Epic as well. I have all the Alan Wake games on there as well. So I
Okay.
thought, why not? I'll take Alan Wake on there.
You'll take the plunge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good
Okay.
game.
Yeah.
Then let's move on to the main topic. Unless you want to add something.
No, I'm good.
Okay, again, games that broadened our horizon. Let's start with Vash here, since he has the least amount of games on the list.
Yeah, the thing is, for me, it was a very difficult topic because I am very open when it comes to uh, trying out all sorts of games. Always have been. I've rented so many games in the past for the Super Nintendo and for the Mega Drive, and I tried every platform that I could. So for me, there's not a lot of different types of games that I never really got into and or tried later. Um, so one of the biggest ones would be I am not a big fan of MOBAs.
Mm.
Um, and I tried playing League of Legends at some point, and I tried playing Dota at some point, and it's just not for. It wasn't for me. But then I started playing Heroes of the Storm with you, Benjiro,
Yep.
um, and I did enjoy that one, funnily enough.
Mm.
So I think it's because there was, for me, League of Legends felt very samey because I think there was only one map at the time. So it was there was no difference in gameplay. It was always the same lane thing and everything. And with Heroes of the Storm, there was so much more variation.
Yeah, you had different
So
maps. You
yeah,
The characters felt different. It was really
yeah,
easy to build because you didn't have to farm for gold. It was just farming levels, and levels were,
hmm
experience was shared between characters,
yeah.
or between,
So you had
players. But
account experience, and then you had character experience.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you also leveled up it keeps doing that. But you also level up as a team. The
Yeah.
team reaches a new level, and you could base your skills off that because you would get skills at level 1, level 3, level
Oh yeah,
5,
yeah. During the game.
7,
Yeah,
10, and then 13, 16, and 20.
yeah,
And that's when you would pick your skills. So
yeah.
you could change your build each and every time without having to farm gold. The average match was somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Unlike
hmm
League, where matches would take up to an hour, or Dota, where it could actually take up to 90 minutes. So it was,
Yeah, I know.
just getting in, running through it quickly. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same story for me. Uh,
hmm
Actually, the video we're watching right now is me editing Goodbye to HOTS 1.0 before they did the loot changes.
Oh
And
right. Yeah.
Pixels and Sprites used to be a HOTS channel. The
hmm
YouTube channel was basically built around Heroes of the Storm. We were doing build videos. We were doing just for fun videos, but character building and
Yeah.
just trying to see where we would make it ranked and stuff like that.
hmm
So yeah, I used to love it, and I kind of brought you into that.
Yeah.
I used to own every freaking skin in this game
I know.
before they
I know.
changed it up to loot box mechanics, because that's kind of when I dropped off
Yeah.
buying everything.
The loot box mechanics also didn't really sit well with me, so I kind of dropped off. And I don't know. I just I really enjoyed what I played though, so I was kind of surprised that the game was gonna get an update
Yeah.
recently,
Mm.
and nothing further came out of that, unfortunately. So
So far, we'll see what
it
happens.
might it something might happen.
They,
Microsoft,
they might add Master Chief since it's a Microsoft-based stuff now.
yeah,
We'll
who
see.
knows? They might bring it back. I don't know. We'll see. It's but yeah, Heroes of the Storm is a game that kind of got me into MOBAs for a bit, and yeah, that was interesting. It was a very interesting game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I did play more hours than I ever expected to play a
It
MOBA.
helps. It also helps that that the world that is displayed, or the way it takes place, in all the characters,
Yeah,
like
you're
the
familiar with them.
world, you're familiar with the themes.
Yeah.
And I think that something like League of Legends, which is like a new IP, a new
hmm
franchise, if
Yeah.
you jump into that blind, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, there's like how many characters? I don't know, a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
So you're gonna get, I don't know, all these characters. I don't know what their signature moves could be, right? So
Hmm.
you're a little bit more lost, and this is something like what Blizzard does well. Same with Overwatch, is they have very good character
Yeah.
uh,
Very.
designs.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
pretty well fleshed out characters in both gameplay and story wise.
Yeah,
yeah,
but there
Yeah,
were also interesting
personalities.
characters. You had Abathur, which
Yeah.
didn't have to be in a lane, but he could spawn enemies
Hmm.
and he could improve. And then he could move between lanes. You
Yeah.
had
right.
Murky that couldn't die. You actually saw Murky right there, which is the Murloc character.
Yeah.
And he
Hmm.
couldn't die because he would put his egg down somewhere, and even if you would kill him, you would only get like 25% of the experience, and he would instantly pop out of his egg again. So unless
Yeah.
you would find his egg, he couldn't die.
Hmm.
So it's like, yeah, they're adding like unique character
Yeah,
mechanics.
you
So
had
that's good.
you had the Lost Vikings, which is a very old Blizzard
Hmm.
IP that but back from the Super Nintendo era.
Yeah.
And you would actually play as all three Vikings in a
Yeah.
single match. So you could so if you were actually good at like RTS games, you could
Hmm.
you could put a Viking in every single lane and triple your experience intake for your team, which
Yeah.
is amazing and crazy. But you would have to be good because you need to be
Very
everywhere
fast.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
fun to play. I won matches just because I did that.
Hmm.
And all I would do is just keep an eye on all those lanes and keep the experience up, and that would usually give you like a level advantage of 3 or 4 levels,
Hmm.
and you would just
And that was very helpful.
yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting that it shows Coco Melon stuff when it's restarting. By the way, my kids are taking control of my YouTube. Okay, so that's it for Heroes of the Storm. Let's move on to one of Matt's man's choices.
All right. Well, let's go to the top one. It was a very old game. There's going to be a lot of old games in my list.
That's okay.
So this is X-Wing.
Ah.
I did. I've got some games here lined up. The original X-Wing, which was it was basically LucasArts had a World War II flight simulator
Hmm.
once, and they decided, hey, we're going to use our engine for a Star Wars game. And I was never into flight simulators, so when I saw a Microsoft Flight Simulator or the S2, what is it, the Flanker games, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Falcon.
Yeah, I don't care about that stuff because it's just, you take off in a plane and it's really
Yeah.
difficult, and then you die and then
Yeah.
you crash,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
no cool, kids, right?
I
Kid
know.
perspective.
I know. Well, I played stuff like Falcon and when I was a kid. So yeah, I really enjoyed those. Strike Commander. Yeah, those are great series.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
yeah.
of course, if that was your thing, I mean, I could understand if you're
Hmm.
very much into planes and helicopters and whatever as a kid, you would also be interested in that. But I was always
Yeah.
like, it was like a niche genre to me,
Of
right? It
course.
was like
Of course.
it was like more like a game for grown-ups or something. But then X-Wing came along, and I picked it up because it was a Star Wars game. I like Star Wars, so
Yeah.
but um, with it comes a flight simulator mechanics. Like you have to control your ship. You have to, shift your power between shields, lasers, and other stuff. And like you had to think about the battles. Like you had to know what was on the in the mission.
Hmm.
Because, for example, a Star Destroyer would send out bombers, and there were TIE fighters as well, but you had to focus on the bombers because the bombers would take out, the ships you were trying to defend or stuff like that. So it basically became something like, I think maybe one of the first games where I actually had to learn every integral button that you could use on your keyboard uh, to get out of sticky situations and to know how to maximize your speed to get to those bombers as fast as possible, and know which enemies are faster,
Mhm.
which enemies are slower, etc.
Yeah.
So you would basically be teaching yourself a flight simulator, but it was framed as a Star Wars game. So there were cutscenes, there were characters, there was there were it really you really felt like a pilot in the Rebel Alliance, which was really cool. And yeah, so that got me into flight sims, and of course after that, I got into the whole series. So this is the original TIE Fighter, which is a way more expanded game, and much more story driven. And of course, you were flying on the Imperial side, which is really cool. Like you were one of the TIE Fighter pilots. So you were, which if you know what a TIE Fighter is, it doesn't have shields. It's a crappy plane. It gets destroyed really fast. So you really felt like this throwaway character, and then there's this whole conspiracy that comes with it during the story. It's really cool. And of course, after that, the X-wing series built up itself. We got X-wing versus TIE Fighter, which was the first multiplayer version of that, where you could actually have big battles with friends and stuff. And after that came X-wing Alliance, which is the a single player again from the Rebel side, which was really cool, where you were part of a family and there was voice acting for the first time, and a whole storyline where you started off as part of like a little smuggler family, and in the end you like end up joining the Rebel Alliance and even fighting in the Death Star 2 battle from Return of the Jedi, which was really cool, and actually flying into the Death Star 2 as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that got me into the flight sim stuff, and I actually played a lot of space simulator games after that. I also played, Wing Commander, and there were some obscure
Privateer.
ones. There was iWar, and there was Star Lancer, and there was
Free Space.
Free Space. All those series
Yep.
that just came on my radar because I played X-wing. Because I know my way around a starfighter now. I kind of know the intricacies of that stuff. So yeah, so that was really cool. So yeah, that was me and flight sims.
Yep. And nowadays you have No Man's Sky and Starfield adding flight sims or space sim stuff, and
yeah, very
pretty
simple,
cool.
but still, it's still that. Oh, cool! Is this
It doesn't, yeah.
because
It doesn't have the same depth as these older games.
That's true.
True.
That's true.
Funny thing, I almost forgot that. Almost forgot that it came out when we had Star Wars Squadrons not too long ago.
Yeah.
Which was my first, starfighter pilot VR experience.
Oh, cool.
Because I had VR, so I thought this game is made for it, sort of. And yeah, that was just like a dream come true to play finally a game like X-wing.
Yeah.
And mixed with TIE Fighter, because you played both sides in that game. And you could
just
really
just
be
like
in the
X-wing versus
cockpit.
TIE Fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I still should continue that game. I kind of left that game for some reason. But I should continue to.
We're all leaving games behind.
Yeah, it's so stupid because I was because I know when it was announced, that game, it was kind of like, oh, did they just rip out the Space Comet from Battlefront and then make that his own game? And I was just saying everyone, no, look at the screenshots. Do you see those things? That's from X-wing, where they the laser and the shield and the energy meters and stuff. I was like, that's taken straight from X-wing. These guys were making a new X-wing game, but they're calling it different. And I was right. It is basically a new X-wing game. So but just not using the title. So when that was announced, I was
it's
really
a little
excited.
easier, but not a lot. Like the controls are streamlined, but some parts of it is pretty much X-wing.
Yeah.
Like controlling your energy meters, your shields, and your boosters and stuff like that. That's all in there.
Yeah. There's some things that are thrown out. I think I don't think you manage your shields that much. Like in X-wing here, you can see the shield there, which you can push all your power to the front shield or the back shield, or you can balance it over the front and the back.
Yeah.
There's all these little intricate things in it.
At the time.
Sorry?
That was as deep as it got at the time.
There was a
wanted
lot
to
of little things. So you even like of course, you can also command your squad mates, your co-pilots.
Hmm.
What is it? Your wingman. That's what I
Yeah.
was looking for.
Hmm.
And you could eject even if your ship was too much damaged. You could eject and stuff. And of course, going into hyperspace was also really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
we're moving on to the next game
yeah, next
because
one.
we're about 10 minutes
Yeah,
out from
sorry.
closing. I'm
Already?
moving on to Yakuza 0. So, Yakuza got it's not really a genre, but Yakuza is kind of a thing on its own.
Yeah.
Some people say it's the Japanese version of GTA. I don't agree. Um,
Same.
it's a very dense open world RPG. Action RPG nowadays turn-based RPG. But
Hmm.
that has a very big emphasis on storytelling, on character building, and on
Yep.
crazy mini games. So I tried Yakuza back on PS3, and I think I even tried it on PS2 because Fosh kept telling me that it was
Hmm.
a fantastic series, and I
Yep.
just
One
couldn't
of my
get into
favorites.
it for some reason. Every time I started it up, Yakuza has a big issue that it usually starts with a 40-minute cutscene.
Mm,
Yeah.
Or
You
yes.
have to take your time for that. Yeah.
yeah, so it takes a while before the ball starts rolling and you're actually starting to get into it.
Yeah.
And I never got into it until I played Yakuza Zero, and for some reason that's also the one that most people who didn't get
Yeah.
into the series at first got into the series
Hmm.
when people got into the series.
Yeah.
So with
Yakuza Zero was a massive turnaround for the series.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they did change some stuff. Usually, you would gain experience. In this case, you would gain money. From your with your money, you would actually upgrade your character. You would also play two characters. One of them is a young Kiryu, and the other one is a young Majima. So it's
Hmm.
kind of a good starting point because it takes place before all the other stuff, and after this one they actually remade Yakuza 1 and Yakuza 2.
Yeah.
They
In
did
the
they did
Dragon Engine.
Kiwami editions.
Hmm.
So yeah, this just there's so much heart in these games, and that's why I still love these games to this day. I think one of the first things I did was I sent Fush a text like after a few days of playing. I was like, even every single side story, because this game is filled with side
Hmm.
stories. You have like the main story, which is big bravado of fighting, but side stories they can get so personal, like a
Yeah.
son who is not connecting with his father, and at some point you meet them a few times during the game, and at some point it just resolves because you help them build a car or something like that.
Mm,
So it
Yeah.
has all
A
these
mini
heartfelt,
car
yeah,
and that sort of
it's
stuff.
one
Yeah.
of those box cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's stuff like that that makes this a very special series. It has heart where
Hmm.
usually you don't see that, especially on an open world game. That it feels like it's very methodical. You just trying um, to get to the next checkpoint and to do these remedial tasks. With this, it feels like it's all handcrafted with love.
Yeah.
Every single thing, and that's
Hmm.
something you usually don't see anymore. And that's
Yeah.
what makes Yakuza special for me. And I didn't get
Yeah.
into this before Yakuza Zero, so it's a great starting point. You can pick it up. Usually, it's on sale for like $5. So you
Yeah.
can pick it up uh, for pretty much for a very low price, and it's a very good
Hmm.
starting point. So if you're in any way interested in Yakuza, this is one of those
Yeah.
those games that can get you into the series.
Yeah. What I really loved about the Yakuza series is that um, the main story is always very deep and serious, but the side stories are can be super silly, like really over the top silly.
I mean, the
With
fighting is super silly itself.
that too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fighting is very much over the top. It's still you break people's backs on railings and that sort of stuff.
You
Throw
pick
And
up
they
bikes
still
and
walk away.
or you pick up a bike and you just
Yeah.
smash them with a
Oh yeah,
bike, or
yeah,
it
yeah.
is it has its silly parts, but also has its heartfelt moments.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
the mini games are interesting. One of my favorite mini games, actually played this with my wife, and we were running a hostess club together, and she would dress the
Mm-hmm.
girls. You know, she would she would take care of the makeup, dress the girls, and I would take care of the mini game, and we made
Mm-hmm.
millions, and we enjoyed that. That was like, I think we spent like 4 or 5 hours just playing that mini game, and we made bank, and I could upgrade
Yeah.
my character to like the max level
Yeah.
just by
Mm-hmm.
playing that, and it was just, and there are way more of these like just fun mini games. Unfortunately, I think that with Judgment they're kind of lacking in mini games, so I'm hoping that the
Yeah,
new
they're a
games would
bit
be
less.
better. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah.
So, Vash, let's move on to you. We're 5 minutes from closer, and we're hardly through the list, so we might
We
have to
we
do a part two.
we, st- yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. So the next game is very recent, actually. It's been out in early access for a long time. Because I remember visiting your place, Benjiro, to, and you were playing it, and it was Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
And I saw you playing it, and I saw, small videos online, and heard people talk about it, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't really for me. This is my kind of game. I'm not gonna play this. And then it was added to Game Pass, and okay, yeah, I kind of got hooked, so I bought it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's fairly cheap, but
Yeah.
right now, even with the latest update, I have every achievement on Steam.
The
Which
fun
is
thing
good.
is you
So
can
Yeah.
actually play it for free,
yeah,
because you can just, if you want to play it on mobile, you can play it for free.
yeah, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that's really funny. But it's because of this game, because of Vampire Survivors, because yeah, now you're getting a lot of copycats and variations, and so I played a couple of them. Matsman, last year, in the past year, you mentioned one of them, Halls of Torment,
Yeah.
which also have a lot of achievements in right now, over 200. So
Yeah. It's
I'm not much of an achievement hunter, but they're fairly easy to get in these games if you take the time, and they're good time wasters.
yeah.
So I
This is
really enjoyed this one.
it's definitely a game. The original is a game that if you look at it, you're like, "What the hell is this?" But
Yeah.
it's a game you have to play,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get it. Because I've seen so many, tweets online where people with the "Oh, now I get it,"
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly it was 3 a.m. That's sort of
Yep.
tweets
Yeah.
where yeah, it's just addictive. It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you that uh, what's it called? That hit,
Dopamine.
dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
And
it gives
yeah,
instant gratification because you're
yeah,
constantly unlocking stuff. You're
Yeah.
yeah.
constantly.
But yeah, sorry,
No,
you're
just continue.
constantly okay.
Just continue.
But it's also a game where it can be very hectic, and it feels really good if you manage to barely survive away from like a massive wave of creatures,
Yeah.
and then you slowly get your health back at some point, and that feels really good
Hmm.
somehow. And I haven't felt that in a while with games. Usually th- most of the way that wait, hang on, I'm not, my brain is starting to fry. um, um, that feeling is something I don't have a lot. um, One of the few games that I do have, one of the few series that I have with, is the Civilization games, where I go like, oh shit, this happened. Oh, now I can do this in this turn, and then next turn, and then next turn, and yeah, like, or one game like Roller Coaster Tycoon, where I got to play until late at night with my dad, for example, and that sort of stuff. So this kind of gives me that feeling every time I play. So that's yeah, it
Yeah,
keeps me going.
it speed runs the RPG experience
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
So you're getting the end game content within
yeah,
30 minutes,
yeah.
that's why it's so fun because it's surprisingly it is still fun every time you start over.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which you kind of figure out, well, it's gonna get old, right? At a certain point, you had like 20
Yeah,
sessions of 30 minutes, like
Mm-hmm.
But there's still things to unlock and challenges to complete and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Yep.
there's always
Characters to
something to do.
find. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it's a good game.
they're adding new stuff every once in a while.
Yeah,
So now there's local co-op, which is bizarre.
yeah,
I haven't played that yet. I haven't tried that yet, but I might at some point.
yeah. And of
But
course, yes, as you
yeah,
mentioned, it spawned an entire genre of these games as well.
yeah,
It's a starter, right? It's a
yeah.
trend starter.
I'm not sure when I started playing it, but I think it was already out like close to a year at that point,
Mm,
or at least early access.
yeah, yeah. It's been it was out for a while when I got into it, I think.
Hmm.
But I think I saw the price and I was like, why not?
Yeah,
So
and usually all these games are quite cheap,
yes,
and
that's a very good trend for those games
yeah,
that they are cheap. Yeah,
yeah, and there's some variations. One I really enjoyed was the Deep Rock Galactic version,
yeah. The demo
which
for
is
it.
also kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah. That they're
So
adding
yeah,
spins to it, their own spins to it. Like
hmm,
it's an easy concept to create,
yeah,
or like a game design that's easy to set up, basically.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then alter it and make your own spin on it. Indeed, yeah. So that was that was kind of the two games that got me into a genre.
yeah.
So, like I said, I play everything except for the Dark Souls games. I never could get into those. So
Mm,
that genre isn't for me. So yeah, but that's it.
Okay,
So on to the next, I think.
Metzman, pick your next.
all right, I'm gonna pick this one. Okay, so there's actually two games that helped me get into the genre, but
Hmm.
it started with Gladius, and
Ah,
what genre did it get me into? It got me into turn-based strategy games,
RPG. Yes.
of turn-based RPG. Yeah, it's an RPG as
Yeah,
well.
tactical RPGs.
Tactical RPGs,
Yeah.
something turn-based, basically.
Yeah.
And Gladius is one I always mention when people are talking about, what is underrated game or what game would you like to see to come back, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Because I don't know, I've the one of the fun things about this game, I just started playing it with my friends brought it up, and I was like, okay, we're just gonna play it. It was on Xbox,
Mm-hmm.
and we discovered it had a co-op mode,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, you can play this with multiple people. That's fun. So what you basically do then is it's a oh, you got that, yeah, I got mine here too
There it
somewhere.
is. There it
Yeah.
stands.
I know
Yeah,
that Benjiro
it's
picked it up quite
blurry,
recently,
I
but
picked
but
up a
yeah.
it's
GameCube version recently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, it's a game. It's a gladiator game. So you start off really simple with a few simple fights, and then eventually you get to bigger and bigger arenas. And it's Greek mythology, so you have minotaurs and all kinds of crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you have four characters on the battlefield, you can play four-player co-op, which is really fun.
Yeah,
And
that's very
each you
special.
you each control your own character. You can design your character a little bit with color of your colors of your outfit and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, it's turn based. So you get your turn. You can choose to attack. You can choose to move. You can choose to use a special move to inspire your other characters or stuff like that. Or you can even inspire the crowd. With a charm kind of effect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one of the cool things about this is that when you attack, you have these QuickTime events that you see on the screen here. So you have to press these buttons. For example, this one you have to press it within the red bar to get the maximum amount of damage. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to hit certain parts of the bar at the right time. And that kind of kept it active, right? You kind of instead of just choosing an attack and it'll do the attack and there's a percentage to hit, you determine your own critical hits and stuff, which made it made it fun. And then it would always be pissed off if you missed
Oh
it.
crap! 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 Crap!
Good.
What a crap.
Oh, I tried to look up a video and audio just ruined everything. Sorry, we're back.
Oh, okay. But yeah, and of course, as you can see here, there's also height difference, which give you bonuses.
Hmm.
So you're trying to find the best spots to attack from, or try to lure the enemy eye to follow you up there and stuff, so you can have that advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there was just a lot of content in it as well. Like there was a lot of battles, and then hey, we're going to a complete new stadium, which has completely new layouts and all that stuff. So we would play this game till 5 a.m. in the morning. It was just that addictive.
Nice.
And yeah, and so this one got me into the genre. And the other one is, I'm going to mention it very shortly, is the XCOM series. And then the modern reboot, basically, because
Right.
the original are from the 90s. There were 2D games. And
Tough as
then
nails.
FireX, yeah, tough as nails. And then FireX has rebooted the series with a little bit more streamlined version, but still very tactical. The
And
XCOM Enemy
challenging.
Unknown game. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, it had as a sequel as well. But yeah, same with this game. It's just I think I was just like, I'm gonna try this game because I played Gladius. I kind of like that, the whole squares and you get to move to cover and all that stuff. I just like the idea. I was just very curious if I would like this game, and it turns out yes, I did, and I played it like a lot of hours.
Yeah, me too.
It's
Same.
just fun to figure these like combat puzzles out, and killing your enemies is very satisfying because it means there's one less threat on the board. And you could think about your decisions. That's what of course makes it a lot more easygoing. You could just you don't have to be constantly active. It's because it's not real time. You can just think about your moves. And yeah, and of course there was the
Nice.
base building as well and stuff. But
I need to ask, how many hours do you have in the game?
the original.
Yeah.
Well, I played it on Xbox 360 first, so
Mm.
and I think I finished it on that. But I also played it on PC. I can I can at least see
Well, what's your Steam?
Steam.
Same for you, if
Where
I should
are
check it.
you?
Yeah, I'm gonna check.
Oh, on Steam, it's not that big. I think I
Let's
played it
see.
mostly on Xbox. It's 18 hours on
Okay.
Steam. But I think I played more of XCOM 2.
Right. I still
Yes.
haven't.
Okay, so
Yeah,
XCOM
same.
2 is 271 hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished XCOM 2. Talking about games that you kind of dropped.
because XCOM 2 was a way more expensive, and I kind of dove deeper into that one.
Yeah.
So that one is the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, that same love for these games carried over to games like Baldur's Gate 3, where the combat has that same design to it. So I already feel very familiar with that.
Yeah. So on the first game, I have 68 hours.
Wow.
On the
I got
second
26
game, I have
hours.
about 40.
Right.
Okay.
I have 26 hours on the first game, and I have 31 hours, and haven't even finished it on XCOM 2. I don't think I was even that far into XCOM 2. So
yeah,
I
think
I just realized I never played the XCOM 2 DLC. It always seemed expensive to me.
Oh, same.
Yeah, I bought it on a sale. I bought like the DLC combined pack or something.
Okay. Like
But,
Worth the
I
Chosen
think
is $40. It's ridiculous.
I still haven't picked that up. I think.
One thing about XCOM though is always that's one of the things I don't really like about it, is that your whole run is basically one big trial and error.
Yeah.
In how you build your base out, what you do when.
Yeah.
So that's why you usually have a lot of restarts in that game. At least I did, because
Same.
I also liked playing Iron Man, for example.
Yeah, me too.
Because then
Oh no,
every
I
decision is
can't do
final.
Iron Man. Not really my thing.
In later playthroughs, I think I did the normal stuff, but
Right.
I think for the original, I finished it on Iron Man even.
Nice.
But I have to agree that XCOM is definitely one that turned me more onto tactical. Well, it's kind of a tactical strategy game, right?
Yeah.
So because Marco really liked Fire Emblem, and I wasn't really into Fire Emblem, but after I played XCOM, I started playing those as well. So yeah, it kind of turned me into a lover of those tactical turn-based RPGs. Or not RPGs, the turn-based strategy games.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go tactical RPG, you're looking at Final Fantasy
Yeah,
Tactics.
I did play Final Fantasy Tactics. I just never finished it. At some point,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
understand
stopped.
that. But yeah,
But
I
I played the crappy PS1 version. I know the PSP version was better, but I never picked it up.
all right, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
also have the PS1 version though. But yeah,
Actually,
it
looking.
XCOM is definitely a game that got a lot of people more into this genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, the original was really tough as nails. I played that one, and like the first one, UFO. I think it was also called UFO. It was called UFO
UFO. I
Enemy
think.
Unknown,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
got
Something like that.
XCOM, Terror from the Deep,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed those. They're very different in
Yeah.
some ways, but also the same. And yeah, with the newer ones, definitely, like I said, we're more streamlined. We're way faster, um, but can still be really tough. The base building is better in XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Mm,
I
yeah.
do enjoy the base building a lot more than in the original games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I understand that. Like I said, I played almost every game back then, and yeah, this is when this was announced, I was like, okay, yeah, I got to pick this up as soon as possible.
I already loved Firaxis because I loved the Civilization. So when I heard they did this,
Hmm.
I was on board.
Yeah,
Did you guys play Phoenix Point? Because that's
No.
I
okay.
haven't. I still gotten into it. Still haven't gotten.
That's the
Still
side
haven't
game,
started
right?
it
Or the like
No,
the shorter
for
spin-off.
Phoenix Point is actually it's
Oh wait,
from the
basically the
no.
original
same type of
creator.
game, but it's from the
It's a
original
different game,
creator of
right?
XCOM.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah.
yeah.
I recognize it now. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I backed it, but I never
Oh,
played it.
it's got
Uh,
mixed
Hmm.
reviews on Steam. That's. I also know that there's this two games called Xenonauts, which
Yeah,
is more was trying to be more like the original XCOM
yeah,
games,
much more like the original. Yeah,
like the classic ones.
yeah. It's
For people
also
who like that.
yeah, it's also pretty good from what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Xenonaut games.
There are also 2D, I think, for the right, completely
Well,
2D
yeah,
graphics.
isometric. Yeah,
Isometric, yeah.
Good
yeah,
stuff.
but
Okay,
pixels,
guys.
pixels, and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Um, do you want to do any honorable mentions?
I got
Do I
nothing.
want to? Well,
I got absolutely nothing. I
let's
only had
see.
those two games, so.
Well, I can mention because it's not like it really brought me to new genre, but I'd say Escape from Tarkov make me like more a gun expert. So I was
Right.
always I was always a little bit like oh, why do I hear sound when I muted it? Oh, there we go. Because I was always intimidated by games like Battlefield
Mm-hmm.
2 back then when it came out
Oh, I
because it
love
was
that game.
more realistic
Mm-hmm.
than games like Call of Duty, which were more arcadey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, Escape from Tarkov was a game where like it was the gameplay hooked me, but it also made me a gun expert, and I kind of appreciated the all the little details about gun mechanics
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
realism. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could see why realism could be fun for the
Yeah.
experience. So that's why,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my honorable mention. That
Mm-hmm.
it's got me into the realism stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that with games like Battlefield 2, like you mentioned, and other games where there's an emphasis on guns. Every little change you do has an effect. So every little piece of equipment that you alter on a gun has an
Yeah,
effect, and that
exactly.
you can really alter your playstyle according to that, and that's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, same with
So I
this
can
game.
see
Yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, here's a little highlight of me shooting some people because they're coming from the front while we were just inside.
Ah.
Good
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's yeah,
Okay.
it's a, yeah, that's it.
Then I
Okay.
think this is where we're going to call it.
Oh, you don't
Uh,
have one game left?
well, we're running out of time.
Okay.
So my honorable mention would be Teamfight Tactics. So I never
Ah.
really been. I never. We talked about it before earlier in this podcast that League of Legends wasn't really my thing. And at some point, I watched some streams of some people playing Teamfight Tactics,
Oh
and
yeah.
for some reason it just resonated with me. So I didn't know. I hardly knew any of the characters. I knew like a few because I watched Arcane, which gets a second season, so that's fantastic. Um,
Yay.
yeah, it's just gonna be next year, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming. Um, but yeah, so I started kind of learning playing these games or starting to learn what the combos would be fun. I usually did it when I was still streaming a lot, and then at the end of my stream I would just play this for half an hour, like some kind of cool down thing, you know, put on some music, play some team fight tactics just
Yeah.
to chill out the stream. And
Hmm.
I really enjoyed it, and it kind of got me invested in the into League of Legends. I didn't really care about the characters, but I did start recognizing them, or uh, I don't know. It kind of got me into the entire team fight or the auto chess kind of
The
games.
auto battler,
So
right?
so
The
so,
auto
so
Ah,
I tried a few. I tried a few more. Team fight tactics was the only one I actually liked. So I can't really say it got me into the genre, because I just haven't found a very good other one. I tried the
right.
Dota
into
version.
that game specifically.
I tried auto chess, and that one didn't work out. I liked it, but it wasn't the same. So yeah, for some reason Riot made the best version. So
Yeah.
it's not like I disliked the other versions. I just liked it less than this one. So I still liked what I did, but less. So yeah,
Right.
that's an honorable mention for me. With then let's get rid of the screen. Okay, there we go. So a little bit shorter podcast from now on. Like I said, we skipping past the news. We're gonna focus mostly on our main topic. We had some Spider-Man discussion, so that's why what did we play kind of ran a little longer than we wanted to, but I think it was a good discussion nonetheless. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for that. Uh, let's start with the roundup. Metzman, where can people find you?
You can find me at the Metsman on Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter this time. And
Let's call it
yeah,
Twitter.
that's where I am. That's where I live. I have a link tree there in my profile, so you can find all the other places where you can find me as well. So it's really easy that way. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Good stuff. And what
Hmm.
about you, Vash?
Well, I still have a Twitter. I hardly use it anymore because it really stinks.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't post a lot on social media anyway. But the things I post and things I share are mostly on Blue Sky now. So, um, I mean, it's basically the same as my Twitter, just PVBAIKUN, and then for Blue Sky you add .bsky.social, and that's it.
Thank you very
So,
much. And
mhm.
I'm Ajero. You can find me on @pixels sprites on the Twitterverse, and it's basically the same thing for Blue Sky, only it adds the blue sky social. So that's it for me. I'm not really playing or doing anything other than that. We might stream some more. We might have a second podcast coming, but I'm not really sure. I'm kind of low energy as of late, and we're reaching the holidays, so I might not have a lot of time for any of the other stuff. I can barely make it through Spider-Man, so let alone do other stuff. So we'll see how that goes. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new topic, and I hope to see you guys then.
Yes.
Thank you all for tuning
All
in,
right.
for watching, and see you guys next time.
Later.
All right. Bye bye.